through this course, you are certified for 3 years to be able to recognize, that in different people. And it's mainly focused on law enforcement, first
Right.
responders, but it was actually for public health. So it was
Okay.
open to the community,
Right.
and I signed up, and it was free. It was all through the course, and I figured, hey,
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
right. Definitely learned some skills in that. Some of it I already was familiar with, but certainly they have this model or methodology, that they teach you different steps like assessing and, supporting and referring and that kind
Right.
of, it was
Oh,
really,
okay.
really neat.
Yeah, we, there's a lady on our drive to the park the other day. She was screaming and yelling and fell like right on 54.
Oh, God, yeah.
And we turned around to to help her, and she was not all there. So we called 911. She was screaming, "No, don't call the police! Don't call the police!" And I'm like, "You're falling into the middle of the road."
Right.
But she took off while we were talking to 911 still.
So she was a danger to
Yeah.
herself, but to others too.
To
Falling in
yeah.
the road, that
Exactly,
puts
yeah.
other people at risk.
Yeah, it was scary because she was like literally laying down her head in 54. So like, okay. And then when you got, I was trying to make somebody stop to help me. Okay, we're here to help you. Don't do this, don't do that. Like, okay, so you really don't. And she was saying that, hello,
Hi, hello.
that she wanted to.
Lazaro.
Lazaro, great.
I say it in the most English way possible.
Don't worry.
Okay, awesome. So in order to kind of start and then, make sure that we are mindful of your time. First of all, thank you for being here in a Wednesday afternoon and take time for yourself, for your business and learning the presentation. So let's go around the room and make sure that we introduce ourselves and what to do if you don't know each other. So go ahead.
Lazaro, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. I am Lazaro Reyes. I am founder and CEO from Town Connect Network. Is mobile app. Is mobile app provide roadside assistance. Only few taps over your phone. It's like Uber on a different way.
Nice,
Where
okay.
we can connect you with service providers on the few taps.
That's really cool, okay, I definitely want to
Yeah,
learn
it's
more.
on the same time or less you call somebody to try to get help or mobile app connect you with maybe on some areas with over 47 providers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I never heard of that, I'm just turning my phone off, so it doesn't
No,
ring.
it's really new. It's something right now we're going to the market on the few days.
Nice.
It's on the beginning, I try to get some feedback, and we go back and working and go to the street and ask to the customers and make everything the very possible. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, Lazaro. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Go ahead.
From yesterday.
First-time
Yeah, thank you.
assistant.
And you're working with them.
That's interesting.
All right, now tell
That'd
us
be faster than AAA.
what you do, my lovey-dovey.
Almost 100%.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's 2 for each.
The problem
Oh,
with-
there's two
we
for
not cut the rate. The problem with AAA, they cut the rate. They
Right.
pay for example, $95 for the service, no more.
Mhm.
The service provider, they're going to try to make more money, and they help with the AAA customer. Is it the last on
Right, yeah.
the line? Is the main problem.
All right, awesome.
Here's my card.
Okay.
So, I think, Rosie, you already know me,
Yeah.
right? But you don't know me. So, my name is Jackie. I am actually a healthcare executive. I've been in healthcare for 25 years, but last year I started my own business that I'm doing on the side.
Okay.
Eventually, I want to do that full-time. I got my certification as a life coach, but I'm also a doctor. I have my doctorate in health sciences with a concentration in leadership and organizational behavior. So the services I provide in my business is PTSD related, anxiety, stress, anything like that, or work-life balance. So I help people with those types of needs, and I also provide executive coaching.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you, Jackie. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Honey, you want to say who you are?
I'm Scott Paulson. I'm Rosie's husband. I'm the one that keeps her in line.
Keeps me straight. Yes. So today, so a little bit about the story and why PEDC is near and dear to my heart. I was part of the incubator. The Dade incubator, but they were in all over different places. But this is where I really found my place as an entrepreneur in Pasco County. So every time I can, I will give back to the community, give back especially to PEDC, because if you do not understand the magnitude of the small businesses, so 70% of the 70% of the economy of the United States is run by small businesses. So that's what is so important for a small business to be successful. Pasco County, 63% of the economy is run by small businesses. So it's in the best interest as Americans that we make sure that the American dream is still alive and that people that own their own business stay successful, thriving, successful, and profitable. So I'm going to talk to you about relationship currency because I consider myself an expert on this, because when I moved to Pasco County, how long ago, baby? It was 20 years ago, more like that. But there were not that many people different, like me. They were looking like me. And there were but they were all welcoming. I'm not gonna say no, it was walking to a place where a lot of people did not look like me. But I knew that the relationship was gonna make the difference. So I started to get to know everybody, and why I had considered myself an expert on this, because I have been in the United States since 1988. I help people with the Medicare options. I've done it for 2 decades, literally 2 decades. I fall into this business and I was successful at it. And before that, I did business travel for business people for another 10 years. So I haven't changed too much, but because of the relationship building, I have done many, many different things. I'm a public speaker, leader, and I specialize in the Hispanic market and collaboration. Community mentor, advocate, and then some other stuff. But my biggest thing is my pure positive mindset. I inspire others through leadership, empowerment, and service. Because you're probably gonna see if there's something where everybody's getting hands dirty, I'm gonna be in it. So, why relationship currency is important? Because people love to do business with who they know, like, and trust. Okay? And when you show up, it shows credibility, all right? And the more you show up, they're going to start trusting you. So they're not gonna, at the very beginning, if you go and looking for doing a sale, you're gonna shut them off right away. But when you have a goal of accomplish something together, especially in a community as neat as Pasco County is, when you have the same goal and you achieve that goal, all those barriers that we cannot raise up comes down, because now you achieve something together. So they get to know you. And then eventually you continue to do other things together. And once they keep thinking of you over and over. And then they're going to say, what is it that you do? And so today, for example, this morning I was at a networking event. And it always happens to me that I sit right across people that, I don't know why, but everybody kind of gravitates to me.
It's your energy.
My energy. But it's always the people that are about to be 65, which is what they do. So the lady sits there. She didn't look like it, but she's sitting across the street across the table from me, and she goes, so what is it that you do? Well, I help people with their Medicare options. Like, oh my God, I'm 63. I'm going to be turning 65 in 2 months, and I'm already getting information. That is my perfect target market, because this lady know me today, and now she's going to be in my distribution list, and we're going to go to events together. And once the sale happened this morning, so even though it's going to take me 2 years, she already made the decision that when she's ready to select her Medicare options, she's going to come through me. But why did she do that? Because we came to an event together. Now, was I wearing this beautiful dress and have my beautiful makeup this morning? Actually not, because we were going to go walk, and I was in my shorts and my t-shirt. But on the way out to the park to walk, I realized that there was the networking event in 10 minutes. And it's just around the corner from my house. So I told my husband, you want to go get the gas at the car and do all this stuff? So he dropped me off at the place, did all the stuff that needed to be done. Okay, I was there for about an hour. Then he's like, I'm already here. And then I left. But it did not matter what I looked like. It's just I came in and I was true to myself. And my energy, like you said, and my genuinely smile. And yeah, I walk away with somebody that is going to call me in 2 years. But we don't sell, we educate. That's one of the things, when you go to a networking event and somebody's like, and I'm not, but I do this and I need you to buy this for me. That turns people off. It's like, I don't know, it looks like a old car salesman kind of individual where you feel like, oh, I gotta go home and take a shower because it's so, you feel icky. So, especially in the Medicare business, there is a lot of aggressive tactics that come with that, and I knew that that's not what I wanted to do. So, when I started and I was doing it by myself, my husband was not licensed, but after the pandemic, 14 years and 10 days, he decided to get his license. Now, he says, I nagged him for 14 years to get his license, and he got his in 10 days after he decided to do it. But that's why my business was called SNR, because it was Scott and Rosie Insurance Services. I was not going to grow this agency. I was not going to do anything. But after the pandemic, a lot of my friends came over and wanted me to show them to do what I do. And that is why now I have a mission to raise the next generation of insurance leaders with a servant heart. Because if you are in the community serving, these things about, you're trying to sell me something is going to go away. But they have to see you. But because they see you in the community, they get to know you, trust you, like you, and then do business with you. My relationship currency model is not mine. It's actually from John Maxwell, a friend of mine. Her name is Charlotte. Charlotte came with that and she says, yeah, we learned that in John Maxwell. Because every relationship that you build is going to turn eventually either in a currency because they're going to do the business with you, or they're going to refer somebody to you. So I'm not going to take credit for what John Maxwell created, but that is based on relationship currency. So if you do BNI, those are the things where you will have a room full of people that will know you, know your services, and when somebody else needs those services, they literally will be marketing for you. So you don't have to have a marketing department doing that for you, but your job is to make sure you train them and you let them know who you are so they can promote you in a way that is not sounds any salesy. When we meet people, we leave our mark, and that's what the relationship currency is all about. A long-term relationship can give you an immediate, it cannot give you an immediate income. It can give you an immediate income and a residual income. So let me explain this. I always tell people, my smile is my moneymaker. I'm sorry, I walk into a place and Scott always says, oh my God, honey, you can talk to the rocks. Like, how do you do that? I don't know how I do that. But it's who I am. God bless me with this beautiful smile. Thank God my teeth are not falling out. So I'm going to use my moneymaker because I am of the belief, especially in seniors, they're very lonely. And them, I might be the only person that has smiled at them. But not only seniors. This world right now is a fallen world. It's a world that right now has no hope, because they have nothing that they can look up to. You don't know what's happening in the morning. You don't know if a child is sick. You don't know if they're currently sick. So if this smile will bring a little shine, a little light of shine into your life, I'm going to smile. And some people were telling me one time, Rosie, you got those little wrinkle smiles. You should get some Botox on it. And I said, well, if those are wrinkle smiles, let the wrinkles roll, baby. Let the wrinkles roll. Because if this is what makes me special, well, I'm gonna own each of those wrinkles with very with a lot of pride because I make somebody's day. Ay, I went too fast. That one went too fast. Okay, there we go. So insurance, people don't like to talk about insurance, let's face it. It's very intimidated. There's a lot of jargon and a lot of acronyms and a lot of stuff that people really don't like to talk about insurance because you feel you're not adequate to talk about that. But if you get sick, you want to make sure the insurance works. Okay? So my job is to come and the SNR services, once we reach the next generation of insurance leaders, we had to change the name between Scott and Rosie because now we have 23 other people associated with us. So SNR became simple and reliable insurance services. And I take very complex information and I have this, I guess, gifting of make it very simple. And a lot of the seniors that we service are seniors that they come from a profession that they're retiring, so they understand a little bit of insurance. They understand how the HMOs work, how the PPOs work. They just want somebody in their corner that is looking after their best interest, but they don't have to know the information. They just have to know the basics. So that's pretty much what I do. We simplify the process and make sure that we get the best thing for them without the stress. And the worst thing that can happen is that if we choose the wrong policy, which usually doesn't, but sometimes it does because the health changes, we will wait to the next enrollment season and change it. That's the worst case scenario. Sometimes there's a special election periods and we can change them before that. Okay? So where does it start? So the Where is Rosie movement, I always tell people that when I started into realizing that social media was this big animal that everybody's going to be using, I did not realize, I was not of the belief that it was going to work for businesses. So I needed to prove everybody else that was using wrong. And I said, okay, I'm going to have to learn this thing to make a little bit of, I don't consider myself a professional, but I'm dangerous in social media.
You don't have to be dangerous.
Not to be dangerous. So I got this online classes. I don't remember what it was, but I spent $500 that I paid in two payments. It was the best $500 that I could spend in my business because it taught me all this stuff of how to connect social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff, right? It was just like the basic 101 on social media. But now I needed to test the theory that social media was not going to work for your business because for free, what do you mean it's not going to cost you any money? So that morning I did a lot of networking event. Back in the day, people thought I networked 24/7. That was their perception. That's not the truth. But I was into a lot of events back then. And then I was making a difference. So I remember that morning, this person called me. He says, where is Rosie going to be today? And that's where okay, I need to use a tagline to make sure that this thing works. So every single post I did started with, where is Rosie? Where is Rosie? And then 2 months after doing that, people were coming at networking events. I found Rosie. Where's Rosie? I found Rosie. And they would come and give me a hug, and then I would take a selfie with them. I mean, everything came very organic, very natural. And it was funny because I would go to events and people say, I don't care where Rosie is this morning. I said, but you're thinking about me this morning, aren't you? So it was like, people says, I was. It's like, exactly. And that's what this was all about. It's who I am. Try to keep up with me. And I tell people all the time, if you receive my information and my invitations, you don't have to come at everything that I invited you because there's not that many people that can keep up with me except my husband. But if it's something that benefits you, let me know because I would love to invite you in as my guest and take you around and introduce you to people because I believe that's what I understood to be my superpower. I don't know why, but when I sit with people tell me things that don't really ever ask or want to know, but don't know why also. That's my superpower. It gets recorded here. And I will remember, so if you have a need, and that's the services that's going to meet that need, I'm going to introduce you. And that, even though I did not get paid for that, it's not about get paid. It's about solving a problem that you as my friend have and gave this friend of mine an opportunity to earn their living so they can feed their families. And that's how this whole thing, and that's what networking currency is all about. And so we have a goal. When you go to a networking event, you cannot just walk into a place and collect 45 business cards, throw them in your distribution list, and then see what sticks. You have to have a clear goal of why you go to a networking event. So for example, for me, when I was doing the Medicare sales at that time, or Medicare education, I will go into networking events, but look for people that they were either financial advisors, wealth management advisors, or property and casualty people. Usually I will go into the hostess and I will ask who in the room is that person. So I will go around the room, kind of meet the 2 to 5 people in the room, and my goal was 5 cards. Because if you do 5 cards, you gonna call this person, gonna do a one-to-one. A one-to-one is an hour of you communicating and learning from the other person. You will tell them what to do, but the reality is that day is for you to learn what they do, and you will become their biggest promoter. Because then that comes with the giver's game mentality. If you haven't read that book, it's on Audible, Giver's Game. You will then, your mission is to find a person that has the need of those services and connect them together. All right? And that is why people say, are you done? Because I will go get my 5 cards and then I go have fun. Drink the coffee. And people will gravitate to me and come and talk to me. But my job was done because the 5 people I was going to connect with that week, I was done. But then I will have fun. I usually always kind of sit in the front of I like to welcome people. Hey, this smile makes people feel welcome. So I will go back to the front and start welcoming everybody. So I always kind of took a leadership position in the front because I like to make people feel welcome. Don't overdo it. Start small, sustainable, consistency, and intensity. So again, if you can have networking events, like I said, 24/7, especially here, everybody starts a new networking group all the time. So if you do that, you can be in networking events 24/7. So you need to be very specific because the strategic aspect of you, yes, networking, you have to promote your business. However, time and health you cannot buy. So if you are always networking, you're wasting time because you're not following through with just the effort that you did. And I realized that because I love to socialize with people. I actually do. So that's why I realized what I said, okay, I can't have 45 business cards. I'm going to have a goal now, 5, and then I'm going to have fun. I'm going to let down my guard and I'm going to make people feel good. And that's how networkings were fun for me. Follow through is one of those things. The money maker is in the follow through.
I just wanted to say that this is so helpful because I've been going to networking events and I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I feel overwhelmed. There's so many people everywhere, and this is really not that difficult the way you present it, but it makes so much sense, right? So I think from now on, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have a goal of getting 5 cards, but doing like the same strategic approach, because when you just start off as a business person, and I don't really know what I'm doing. I've been in healthcare for so long, that's all I know. And I happen to be in the insurance industry too, in the healthcare side,
all right?
But now this kind of makes it so streamlined for me. So I just wanted to point that out and say thank you, because now I feel like I have a goal moving forward in any of these networking events.
And this is the other thing that you got to think about. And I never understood this because I love to talk in front of people, right? But I had a friend of mine, and I saw her this morning. Her name is Lorraine Lane. She said the first time she was going to go to networking, she couldn't walk to her car. She was so petrified of going to a place with the strangers which she did not know. The second time, she actually got into her car, but she kept getting anxiety attacks for going to events, to networking events. So she finally built the courage to go to a place, and then she couldn't get out of her car. But the following time, somebody goes, hello, hi, I saw you last time and you left. What's your name? And blah, blah, blah. And she says that person kind of changed her whole idea of what a networking was. And she walked in feeling confident. She didn't feel alone. And when she mentioned that back in the day, this was about 15 years ago, when I was coming through this for me comes very natural. But it's not natural for everybody. So now you know what they say. Why should I talk about? I don't know what to talk about. The one thing that you think everybody knows, that's the one thing that you're going to talk about. Not everybody knows, and there's people looking for that. Mm-hmm. So my other thing now that I do is I actually look at my little introverts, that, because I know how much courage it took for them to come to events. So I always go, hi, I'm Rosie. What would you like to... Who do you want to meet today? Oh, I have this person, and I will go and introduce them. And then I will give him a few minutes, and then when I see them that she's kind of like, him or her, that is kind of alone, then I will go take him to the next person. So, matter of fact, my husband is a totally introvert, but before we were dating, he actually did approach me, and I was like, oh my God, he's approaching me. But he says he was out of his comfort zone, but I think I like him enough that he says, okay, I'm just going to overcome my fear and ask her to say, hey, let's go out or something. But yeah. And give first before you receive. That's the most important, because after you follow through and you do that one-to-one, the moment that you give without waiting for something in return, that changes the dynamic. That changes the relationship. I know so many people. We just had our ribbon cutting at in my office in Separate Hills. 100 people were there. 100 people. You know what the biggest conversation was? I've known Rosie for 10 years. No, but I've known Rosie for 15 years. Well, I've known Rosie for 20 years. And they were all fighting to see who was the one that knows the most. Now, I'm doing my thing, but my agency partners is like, Rosie, they were almost getting into a fight because they wanted to know who was the one that knows you the most. The mayor of the city was there. I mean, to me, she's my friend, so I didn't think any of it. But you know what it is that the mayor of the city came to your ribbon cutting? That means a lot, and that's because I give so much to the community that she felt that she needed to support me. So this is actually my motto. This is where I keep myself authentic and genuinely. So I'm not saying I'm perfect. Sometimes I want to blast out in social media things that I shouldn't blast. So I stop myself and I think, is it pure? Is it positive? Is it inspiring? If it's not falling in these three categories, I'm not sharing those things in social media. Now, I can actually email something to myself and then leave it on my draft box for a couple of days, then come back and read it. Now, I do have a really good man that knows me a lot when I'm like very frustrated, and he goes, do not send that email. So he keeps me making sure that I don't do something that I will regret later. But this has kept me focused because that is this is for me to keep myself accountable. And my brand has to be like that. So questions and answers, I know it was kind of fast, but this is where is the time of sharing and tell me stories about, thank you for what you say about networking. You did not know what to do. But because you have the health aspect of it, right? So any questions that you guys may have? No?
Where'd you get your energy from?
And
She takes the Red Bull.
The Red Bull, that's so funny. So I was a very unhappy person until I found myself. And I think part of that has been my wonderful husband. We're going to be together for 19 years in the 27th. But I was a very unhappy person before I met my husband, where he loved me unconditionally because I was loved based on my behavior. It's those things that I now have to be, I have been really working really hard on understanding that I had a performance-based upbringing. So if I'm not constantly performing and doing good and excelling at everything, I was not being loved. Now the issue is that when you grow up and you become an adult, you become that person that is demanding the performance based on what happened to you. So I have learned to understand that this is who I am, and not because I'm Scott's wife or I'm the community leader or I'm the Rosie, the leader person. I am, my worth is because I'm Rosie. And I'm gonna have good days, but my job is to be the best version of myself today, and my only competition is who I was yesterday. So I have learned to love myself unconditionally, and I would say reparent the little Rosie that needed that understanding to be loved unconditionally. And so I have this morning I have my third personality because I've been working really, really hard on this. Now, I don't have anything to hide, so I'll share this. So my little baby Rosie, the one that was wounded as a child and I need to bring her, that's the little Rosie. And then there is the resilient Rosie. The resilient Rosie is the one that kept the baby Rosie alive, because there were times that we were in danger. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But again, not out of malice or, but we were in danger, and the way the resilient Rosie protected little Rosie was that. But then there is this Rosie today. Who is this Rosie today? So today, that Rosie is named Inspiring Rosie. So who is this person today, and how happy she is with this? So that's where I get my energy from, and I'm not going to lie, but he gives it to me too, because I serve an amazing Lord that died for my sins, and I was able to forget what I've done in the past and not live in the past, and not live in the future. And my goal is that if you ever get to know me, you get to know Jesus because you know me. Yeah, that's it.
I think, based on everything that I know about you already, I really believe that the energy you have and the spirit that you have is because you keep getting that back, because you put so much out for other people, for complete strangers. You are one of the most selfless people I've ever met in my life. And to take someone under your wing and introduce them that you don't even know them, and you don't, but it doesn't matter to you. That is very special. There's very few people that are willing to do something like that. And I'm one of them. When we connected, and you brought me into, the other thing we're doing on Monday, and I just want to thank you for that, and you truly are an inspiration. And I like how you have your three personalities, because I think, as we get older in life and we go through different experiences, we all evolve as people, right? And we all have something to carry with us from childhood, some more than others, whatever. But and it just ties so perfectly, because just today when I went to this mental health first aid training today, we talked a little bit about that in childhood and the experiences you have, and it's just interesting how it all comes full circle. And if we are resilient and we find ways to cope and to find the strength within us, we can continue to evolve and become the better version of ourselves, like you said, a better version today than we were yesterday. And I just love that you're with your wife and you have this amazing dynamic, and I can relate to that because I started dating my husband 20 years ago, and he made me a better person and a happier person. And so I'm very thankful every day for him, because he's accepted me for all my faults and everything, and he's just been absolutely incredible, and I'm not trying to get emotional here. A long day. But I just find it amazing what you do, Rosie. So thank you.
Thank you. And I always want to give back to this amazing country, because this country, I always say I'm an Ecuadorian by birth, Hispanic by heritage, but an American by choice. And I will be the most proud American that there will ever be, because they have given me the opportunity to be to be the best version of myself, and owning not one, not two, but three thriving, successful, and profitable business. Where else can you do that if it's not America? So, yeah. Any questions, Lázaro?
No.
¿Seguro? ¿Seguro? Okay.
100%.
Okay. Well, I got my books in here that I would love to give them to you. This is all my contact information, my Instagram and stuff like that. I do have a monthly power circle, which is for women we just have about 7 ladies that we get together once a month, and we talk about it. It doesn't have any agenda, but we talk about what's going on at that moment. But I do have some other networking events that I do that are not women related. But Lazaro would love to kind of sit down and talk to you a little bit more about what you do. But that is my website. If you do have somebody in the services, like a person that might be a notary or a person that might be a realtor, and they want to diversify their portfolio and help people with their Medicare options, that is that perfect target market for me. Those are the leaders with a servant heart that I'm looking for. Okay.
Rosie, I do have a question though. I'm sorry. As you mentioned a book, right? So you wrote your book. I actually just went to Germany to visit, and I think I mentioned to you I was born and raised there. And I just want to share this one quick story.
Yeah.
So my teacher that I had from 7th, 8th, and 9th grade was my biggest inspiration as a child. Right? She was honestly just one adult that was a positive influence on me at that age.
Yeah.
And so all these years that I lived in the United States and I studied and got my doctorate and everything, I had her on my shoulder giving me, strength. But she never knew. So I haven't seen this woman in 35 years, actually 30 years, and I reached out to her. I didn't even know if she was still alive or what.
Okay.
But a couple months before I went to Germany, I called her. I said, I know where she lives, I know her name, I'm just going to try. And I found her and I called her. And I said, she answered and I said, hi, is this Awe that used to teach at such and such school? And she started laughing. She said, yes. And I said, oh, this is, Jackie Oram is my maiden name. She said, oh my God, how are you? She remembered me after 30 years, right? So I told her, I said, listen, I want you to know, I spent an hour with her. My heart was beating. I was so nervous. And I said, you never knew this, but you have been the biggest inspiration my entire life going through this academic, challenge, and she said, oh my God, are you serious? So anyway, so I met up with her when I went to Germany. I actually met her at a park for the first time, and we had coffee and we had this amazing conversation, and she told me, she said, Jackie, now that you have your doctorate, you can get your credentials translated into German. Then you can apply to have it recognized and acknowledged in Germany, which would apply to Europe, to all countries that fall within the European Union. And then we were talking about books, and she asked me, are you planning on writing a book? I said, as a matter of fact, I've been thinking about that for years, but I've been in school for years, and I didn't have time, right? So she said, you're gonna need an editor. And I said, yeah, and she said, well, I can be your editor for German, not for English. So she encouraged me to, pursue that. So my question is, would you mind sharing who your editor is for the English version?
So Shirley Jump from Jump Creative is who helped me do this, because with my Spanglish, I have my accent in English, I have my accent in Spanish, my grammar in English is not perfect, my grammar in Spanish is not perfect, but I've spoken more English than Spanish. I came here when I was 17 years old, and I'm going to be 55 in December of this year. So I always had that limitation of thinking I could never be a published author because of my Spanglish, until I find out what a ghostwriter was and as editor. But I will introduce you to Shirley Jump. Now, there's 2 ways to get published. You can get published or self-published. So you can hire a publishing company to do it, or you can have, so after she helps you write the book, you can pitch it to a publishing company. It'll cost you a little bit more. There's but she will have those connections too, where she could. But if you want to do a self-publish, that is an easy way. And I have a couple other people that I can introduce you, where they will teach you how to do self-publish. So my first edition of this book was published by a publishing company, but then I realized I wanted to change some stuff, and then this is my third edition, third and last one. But those second and third times I self-published them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And what platform did you use to actually draft your?
I don't know. All I remember, she will write it, and then she will share it with me, and we will go back and forth. So I think it's Ingram that she does,
Oh, so she actually wrote it for you. You told her, and she was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a good storyteller. So if you tell me I'm gonna write, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna sit down and write. So what we used to do is we made an appointment. So once a month, once a week or something like that, we will get together for a week. Now, she will come in, and when the first time we met, she wrote the draft of what the first chapter was gonna do, the second, the third, the fourth. She kind of wrote notes, and then she did the draft of, we're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna, in this chapter, we're gonna talk about that, and third and fourth. And there were things like, for example, there is a chapter in the book that talks about Soñeque is a Quechua word that means resilient. And in the book, I share about the Otavalos, which is the tribe that speaks Quechua. And the men have this very thick braid that they use, and and I didn't know what the name was. And she actually researched it. It's called a shimba. And the bigger and thicker, the longer and thicker the shimba in their community, the more masculine the man is. And I share the story of how in Ecuador, before the rights of the Otavalos were respected, they will chop their hairs off of the Otavalo men. So that was literally like castrating them. So they will have to go back to their community and then rebuild their community, because now they are shunned by their own tribe. So there was a lot of like the movements that we talk about in here with Martin Luther King and the segregation. That was part of what happened in Ecuador to respect that tribe. But the beauty of that tribe is that actually the women are the entrepreneurs. So if you see a lot of the little blouses with the little braided thing, that's usually the Otavalo women. And they were the ones in the market, going in the market and selling stuff. And that's part of where my upbringing comes in, where I realized my parents were teachers 9 to 5. They didn't understand about going and hustling. And I mean, now my mom understands what I do because she's one of my agency partners and she helps me. But literally before my mom started helping me with the business, she said, "What is it that you do?" I was like, what? She just couldn't understand.
My mother and father don't understand either
Yes.
what I do.
Yeah, for them, they think we're lazy or we don't have a 9 to 5 job. I mean, let's face it, consulting 50 years ago is a person that couldn't hold a job.
Yeah.
Okay? So we have come a long way as people, as expressing, as taking care of those emotions that made us, that somebody said or somebody believed. I don't know about you, but there's always that person that you want to start something, but you have that uncle that tell you, you shouldn't do this because of this and that. But that uncle is nobody. It hasn't started anything. It hasn't finished anything. He's just a person that is bitter and doesn't know, and so it's going to make your life bitter. But that was your uncle and you love them and you didn't know how to separate those things because you were that child. So those are the things that I don't, like this morning, I got to tell you the story. With this, I finished. But this morning, I literally drive all the way to my house because we have a 20% coupon. 20% off coupon from our insurance. And I go to Walgreens to get the 20% discount coupon. So I buy everything that is on sale except this little caramel candy popcorn. So that was like $2.29. And I said, use my coupon later. And she goes, well, you have everything that is not on, everything is on sale, so you can't use your coupon. But I saw that it was minus 46 cents off. And I told my husband, and I said, well, I guess she took the 20% off from the candy, from the popcorn that was like $2.20. So I'm giving her the coupon for no, I did not take so you take your coupon with you. And I'm like, but, and he goes, just let's go. And I said, but she took the coupon, like there was a coupon off, there was 20%. And he goes, well, what do you care? What do you care what she takes? And I'm like, you're right. So I said, well, I wish when she closes the cash register, says, well, you're missing a 20% coupon.
It's the little things, right?
As I said, that made me happy. But when he says, like, what do you care what she thinks? Because like, then I say, yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna give her my piece over a 20% off 46 cents coupon. I don't know. It's like that's just crazy things. But yeah. Alrighty. Any other questions? No? Can we do a picture before I start sweating and melting? Please, please, please. And can you take it with your phone because I got it. I'm doing the lives.
Look oily. I've been up since 5 a.m. I'm so tired.
I haven't taken my nap yet, and you're just gonna lo vas a hold it. Just hold it, and then I'm going to. Oh, let me hold on. Hold it.
Why don't you scoot over to that side because all this stuff is gonna be. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Do another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Got it? And you got it, Abby? Okay. All right. Let me just do this really quick, Mama, and then I'll go ahead and I'm gonna autograph.
I was gonna say I need your autograph.
Yes, I know. I'm gonna autograph it. Oh, but you know what? Let me do this. Hold on, cause.
So you like pink?
Oh, I love pink. Pink and red. Pink and red are my colors. Okay, so there you go. All right. Okay. Okay. I can do this.